Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a few different brokerage accounts that I personally use, look at the pros and cons, do a very high level look at a few of these different brokerage accounts. We're not going to be breaking down into great detail, just going to be looking at the fees and some of the pros and cons to these different brokerage accounts. There's many different things that you want to consider before you open a brokerage account. For example, what market do you want to be trading? Do you want to be trading the NZX or the ASX or the US or Japan or whatever the market you may be looking at? Does this particular brokerage account offer those markets that you're looking at investing in? Also, the fees they charge across anything, whatever investment you're looking at making, you always want to look at the fees. Ideally, you want to be going with one of the lowest fee providers out there, especially when it comes to things such as your KiwiSaver or your Super. Looking at the lowest fee options is a good place to start, and then go from there and things that can work around for your best sort of strategy for your investing. So like I said, today we're going to be just breaking down a few different ones that I personally use. Some of these brokerage accounts that we're going to discuss today, I do actually have affiliate links with them, but so there's no extra cost to you whatsoever, but there will be some links in the description below so you guys can check those out if you'd like to open an account with these ones that I'm looking at today. But like I said, these are ones that I personally use. There's no way I'd ever recommend a product that I don't personally use, and I think these are some of the best that I've found personally across all the different brokerage platforms out there, as there is an absolute plethora of different brokerage accounts out there, especially in 2021. Like, you know, maybe 10 years ago wasn't quite this many, but now seems like every 3 to 6 months there's a new one starting up. But yeah, like I said, there's a few different things you want to look at. Who actually regulates those brokerage accounts that you're also looking at, as well as another key thing, which we're going to be breaking down into today's video as well. With that said, let's jump into today's video. Alright guys, we're going to start by having a look at the big four banks here in Australia. As most of my viewers are from Australia, this would be benefit from you, but if you're from America or Canada, stick around because the next couple that we're going to talk about would be great options for you if you're looking at opening a brokerage account. But let's start by looking at the big four. Just across the board, these are all very similar costs with regards to buying and selling equities on the ASX. As you can see here across the board, generally it costs you around $19.95 to place a trade or to sell a trade on one of these particular platforms. The cheapest is Commonwealth, but only up to a certain amount. As most of these accounts, they all sort of get tiered, so the more that you're buying or selling, the more that you're going to incur brokerage costs as well. But it gets capped at 0.11% of a trade. So if you're buying 100,000, the most you'll ever pay is 0.11% of the total trade. One thing to consider with the big four banks is that if you're looking at wanting to trade and buy and sell shares through the US market, then this is probably not the best option, as it can be quite expensive to buy and sell US equities through these big four banks. And this is predominantly more geared towards Australian companies. So if you're only wanting to buy and sell equities on the Australian market, then this could be a great option for you. But like I said, maybe stick around to check out some of these other options if you're looking at buying and selling equities through the US market, as the fees can be quite high for the big four banks. Also, another thing, if you're wanting to trade over the phone, most people these days don't. Everything's so easy and accessible through online, through the platform, or even through apps, which most brokerage accounts offer app forms, so you can buy and sell pretty easily sitting on your couch. You don't have to ring anyone. But if you do want that sort of, you know, be able to ring someone, then there is options there, but generally you're going to be paying maybe 3 or 4 times the brokerage cost, whereas if you just did it online as well. I have actually made a detailed video around buying and selling equities through Westpac, so check that out if you're interested to learn just a little bit more about how to buy and sell and place a trade. I haven't made a video about these other three because my main broker that I do use here in Australia is Westpac, but I have opened an account with ANZ and also Commonwealth as well, but I haven't really used those too much, to be honest, out of no reason. Just my main bank account is with Westpac. NAB is slightly cheaper, so from $0 to $5,000 worth of a particular company or ETF you're looking at, it is only $14.95 per trade. And then Commonwealth Bank, it was also slightly cheaper as well, especially if you're only looking at maybe $500 worth of a particular company. Or I think there is also an option with Commonwealth, if you do have a particular account with Commonwealth, then it is slightly cheaper as well to buy and sell equities through them. But like I said, all very similar across the board, across the big four. Let's keep moving forward and having a look at some of these other options out there. So Interactive Brokers. Interactive Brokers is a fantastic platform, especially if you're looking at buying and selling options. Maybe you're looking at selling put options or call options or shorting some options. This is a lot more of an advanced brokerage platform, and this is something that I've only recently opened up an account with in the last month or two, as I'm starting to get into selling put options, which is quite lucrative. Well, it's been pretty good so far, but we're not going to be going into great detail around selling put options. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that, drop in the comments below and I'll make a follow-up video just around selling put options, as I have been selling put options in Alibaba over this last sort of month. The good thing about interactive brokers is you get exposure to many different markets, not just the ASX or the US market, or there's a number of different countries that you can get exposure to, all relatively easy through their main platform. But this is a bit more of an advanced sort of brokerage account. Like I said, you've got those option tradings, but it is a little bit trickier, especially if you're just starting out. This might not be a good option for you. They do have some competitive fees that they charge. I've just got a little example across the screen here. So this is for anything on the US market, but you can see, let's say you bought 100 shares and they're at $25 per share price, then you'd only be paying $1 in brokerage costs, and that sort of gets tiered depending on how much you're buying and selling. And it depends on which market you're looking at trading in. But to be honest, Interactive Brokers does have some very competitive fees, and it's the most advanced platform out of all the platforms we'll be discussing today. This, especially if you want to do something a bit more advanced than just buying and selling basic sort of companies, then this could be a good option for you. And they also have some of the lowest financing costs if you're looking at taking on leverage in order to take a position. Look, I don't recommend taking on any leverage, especially when it comes to the equity markets, as you can really get yourself into trouble there. But they do have that option on there if you would like to use leverage on any particular companies that you're looking at buying in. So that's enough about Interactive. Let's move forward and have a quick look over Etoro. Etoro is another one that I've only recently sort of opened an account with over the last few months. And they do have a very unique feature on Etoro, which is very unique to Etoro. I haven't seen any other brokerage accounts offer this particular service. Fairly easy to use. They have the 0% commission on stocks, so there's no brokerage costs there. They make their money when you deposit and you withdraw from the particular from Etoro. So here it says here, opening an account on Etoro is free. There's no management or ticketing fees, and charge investing stocks is commission free. Withdrawals do incur a $5 fee, and also any foreign exchange rates do apply as well to non-US deposits and withdrawals. I think there are a few guys that are managing to get around this with having a US bank account, but as for us in Australia, you do get slugged a little bit on the commissions there with the exchange rates. Like I said, fairly easy to use. Like I said, one of the main features of Etoro is the copy trading feature. So let's say you're just starting out, you're a bit unsure on what you want to be buying and selling. There is a very unique feature on Etoro where you can actually copy other investors. You can look at their track record over a number of years to see what their profile is like, and do they invest the same way that you'd like to invest. Then that may be a good option for you. I mean, you should never blindly follow anyone into anything, but this is a good option, especially if you're just starting out. And I actually have opened up an account on Etoro recently. Neil Denize is my profile name if you'd like to check me out on there. I have made a couple of videos around that, so check that out if you're interested to earn a little bit more. One of the other good features with Etoro is they also trade stocks, crypto, commodities, all on the one platform. So you don't have to open up another account just to trade crypto or commodities or anything. A lot of that's all under the one banner, being Etoro. Look, I don't really buy or sell crypto, so that's not something that I sort of specialize in, but they do have that option there, which is nice. Like I said, all under the one umbrella. And it is regulated by ASIC, the Australian Securities Investment Commission here in Australia, which is good to know. Some of these other brokerage accounts out there may not be regulated by ASIC, but that gives a nice little assurance that, ASIC have signed off that this is a reputable platform to buy and sell equities through. Also fractional shares as well. So let's say you want to buy a fraction of a Amazon share, you can do that through this platform as well. They also do have leverage options through here, but I wouldn't recommend that. Like I said, I don't recommend leveraging yourself up in any way, especially when it comes to equity markets, as we never know what's around the corner. There could be a worldwide pandemic, and if you had leverage going into that, you could really get yourself into trouble. So unless you really know what you're doing, I wouldn't recommend taking on any leverage when it comes to any investing in the equity markets. Property is a different story. Definitely look at taking on leverage there, but definitely not in the equity markets. So that's it for Etoro. Let's keep moving forward with it. Stake. Stake is another great platform, actually, really good for beginners. This is one that's only sort of been around the last few years, also regulated by ASIC as well. Zero brokerage costs, fractional shares. Like I said, if you wanted to buy and sell maybe one or half a share of Apple or half a share of Amazon, you do have that option through Stake. Let's just see how they compare to the other banks here. So brokerage fees per trade. So like I said, zero brokerage costs. Foreign exchange fee per trade, nil. So they make their money when you deposit and withdraw money onto the Stake brokerage account. That's where they sort of clip it a little bit. But to be honest, it is pretty competitive. It's very similar to TransferWise. I use TransferWise for transferring money overseas, and they're pretty similar to that particular transferring between different currencies. Pretty competitive fees, I feel. I didn't feel like I was getting ripped off, let's say, when I transferred money onto Stake. But then you can see, compared to ComSec, they're charging you $20 US, and then 0.6 of the currency exchange, and then NABs even $11.59, South Wealth $9.50. So, you're getting slugged a bit more in fees with these other different brokerage accounts. But, these other accounts have been around for a lot longer. They're a lot more reputable. They're probably not going to go belly up. I'm not saying Stake is going to go belly up, but, there's things you want to consider there as well. And then a little example portfolio down the bottom there of how much you'll get charged in fees. But, I highly recommend Stake. I think it's a good platform. Like I said, easy to use, especially if you're just starting out. They do have some good information on there if you're wanting to get a very high-level look at a particular company you're looking at as well. Anyway, that's it for Stake. Let's keep moving forward with it. So Hatch is another great company if you're wanting to get exposure to the US markets and you're from New Zealand. Hatch isn't in Australia, whereas Stake is both in Australia and New Zealand. Hatch is only for investing for Kiwis, and they do charge a small commission for buying and selling equities as well. So the exchange fee is 0.5% when you deposit or withdraw money. So similar to Stake, where Stake was 0.7, Hatch is only 0.5. And also, Hatch advises that if you deposit over 100K, then they will provide special, even cheaper exchange rates as well. So that's something to consider, especially if you're looking at putting in over 100K's worth there. And the brokerage cost, this is for an adult account, is $3 to buy and sell shares. This is US. So very competitive, a lot cheaper than the counterparts being the big four banks or anything similar to that. Bear in mind, you're only really getting exposure to the US markets through this platform. You're not getting exposure to the ASX or NZX or Japan or whatever company that you may be looking at, predominantly just focusing on the US markets. And there might not be every single company that you've ever heard of out of the US available on this platform, but they do have a good coverage of pretty much most companies that you're probably looking at. And they also have only recently opened up Hatch Investing for Kids, which is also another good option if you're looking at investing for your kids, with a lot cheaper brokerage costs, only 50 cents per trade. And that's pretty much it. Very similar. You can just slide back in underneath your own account as a kid, as a account for your child. So easy to use, great for beginners, good access to the US markets. I would favor this over going through your traditional brokers through the big four. They have the kids account, very competitive fees, great New Zealand platform. Lastly, we're going to have a look at Sharesight. I have mentioned Sharesight a few times on the channel before. So let's say that you've just opened up an account and now you want to track the performance of the positions that you've recently brought or sold out of. Sharesight is a fantastic platform for doing that. This tracks your capital gains, your dividends, your currency gains, and gives you a good overview, especially when it comes to tax time. You can just print off some of the reports that Sharesight offers, send it directly to your accountant. They can take care of all the rest of it. You don't have to go through pages and pages of tracking what dividends you got or anything along those lines. And if you only have up to 10 holdings, it's free and it's free forever. This is what I used for a number of years before I started getting a lot more active in my investing. Now I do actually have over that 10 holdings and I have gone on to a paid plan, but it's free just to sign up and buy. As long as you keep it under those 10 holdings, free, and you don't get maybe quite all the features that you do on the paid platform, but definitely worth looking at even the free version as well. There'll be a link in the description below so you guys can check that out as well. So super easy come tax time, great for keeping track of your portfolio all in one place. You don't have to look at different platforms, especially if you've opened up a few different brokerage accounts. This brings it all into one neat, nice little parcel. Tracks your dividends, capital gains, and currency exchange. That's pretty much going to wrap us up there for today, guys, on that. If there's any questions on any of those different brokerage accounts that I went over today, drop in the comments below and I'll do my best to get back to you. Or if you'd like me to go into more detail on any one particular brokerage account, drop that in the comments as well and I'll make a follow-up video just on that particular brokerage account. All right, guys, let's wrap that one up there. Cheers. Hope you got some value, guys, looking over a few different brokerage accounts there. Like I said, links in the description below if you did want to check out some of these different brokerage accounts there today. If you'd like me to do a follow-up video on any one of those particular brokerage accounts that I discussed today, drop in the comments below which one you want to do a follow-up on how to use it, or any questions you may have around it. Drop in the comments below and I'll do my best to sort of help you out there, or possibly even make a whole video just on that one particular brokerage account, as some of them can be a little bit tricky to navigate, especially if you're just starting out on your investing journey. If you're an old hand, you're sort of, once you get pretty comfortable with these different accounts, it comes pretty easy. You can sort of buy and sell pretty comfortably, and they all sort of cross over a little bit. Certain platforms have more research tools and things at your disposal, where some might be limited in that area, and so that's why it's kind of good to have a few different brokerage accounts, in my opinion. But like I say, always look at the fees they charge, and also what markets they're giving you exposure to. Are they just predominantly for the NZX and the ASX, or the US market, or whatever it may be? And also, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Look at how they're making money off you as well. How does the particular brokerage account? There may be zero brokerage costs, but there may be some other ways, maybe an exchange rate or something along those lines as well. But that's pretty much going to wrap us up for today's video, guys. If you got some value from today's video, please do us a favor, hit that like button. Helps me out a ton, helps push these videos out a bit further. And if you'd like to see future videos and you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. That way you can stay up to date when the next video drops. Alright guys, stay safe out there, and we'll catch you in the next video. Cheers guys.